LA may be spared horrifying fate of the Big One earthquake from the San Andreas fault, simulation suggests. A new simulation of the shaking from a magnitude 7.8 earthquake, South San Andreas earthquake, suggests that Los Angeles might avoid a worst case scenario. Los Angeles is at risk of a major earthquake, the big one, but new research shows that the shaking from the big one may not be as catastrophic as scientists initially feared. A new simulation of the shaking from magnitude 7.8 earthquake on the South San Andreas fault suggests that Los Angeles may see 50% less ground motion than previously predicted, and that could be good news for the city of Los Angeles, the city of angels, but residents and builders should not let their guard down, researchers say. There are still many questions about the damage a large earthquake could wreak in the region. This is only one scenario, the study co-author Ti-Yang Ye, postdoctorate research at San Diego State University, says. The study has not yet undergone peer review, but appears on the preprint site ESS Open Archive. The study updates computer modeling first conducted during the 2008 Great South American Shakeout, a project designed to quantify the consequences of a magnitude 7.8 quake on the southern San Andreas Fault, which runs 30 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. And according to statewide California Earthquake Center, such a worst-case quake is expected to cause 1,800 victims, 50,000 injuries, $200 billion in damage. The shakeout predicted surprising dramatic ground motion in downtown Los Angeles, said Thomas Heaton, professor emeritus of geophysics and mechanical and civil engineering at Caltech, who was not involved in the new study. That made quite a stir at the time, and then a number of us in the field were wondering whether or not the simulations are appropriate. In particular, the simulation suggests that the basins around the city, from the San Gabriel Basin where Pasadena sits to Los Angeles Basin that holds its eponymous city, would act as what's called a waveguide, funneling earthquake waves right towards the city. But basins are structurally complicated, Heaton said, so it's not clear whether they would be such perfect channels. The quake simulations used on the Shakeout project were not as detailed as today's technology allows, Ye told Live Science. For example, the models represented the surface between the fault and LA as smooth. Ye and Kim Olson, seismologists at San Diego State, who co-authored the study, used a simulation that included actual topography as well as detailed information about the geometry of the fault and the way waves travel through the subsurface. The results showed a better outlook for Los Angeles. The ground motions are still profound, Ye said, but it's not as horrifying as what was previously predicted. And while the basins around Los Angeles do channel earthquake waves to some extent, the researchers found the mountainous topography around the fault also has a scattering effect, and thus the waves going into the basins are not as strong as previously expected, so neither are the waves coming out. Still, that does not mean Southern California can rest easy. It's important that they actually redid this calculation, and I applaud them for that, Heaton said, and that's how good science progresses. But what is still missing in the entire analysis is real data from earthquakes. The area is now well observed by a network of seismic monitors, Heaton says, but more quakes will have to occur to get those data points. Another consideration is that ground motion could vary a lot even within the Los Angeles area, regardless of what the whole city average shaking looks like, said Zachary Ross, geophysicist at Caltech, not involved with the new research. The middle of the Los Angeles basin sits on sediments, Ross said, which are relatively loose and can move easily in a quake, whereas the areas closer to the mountains may have more rigid, resistant rock. There are also multiple other fault networks beside the San Andreas near Los Angeles, and they create their own hazards. That's part of what makes this whole problem just so challenging, Ross said, and at the end of the day, even if you could get this one simulation fairly reasonable, it's just one of them. This is by Stephanie Pappas on Live Science. And the bells you hear behind me is because it's Saturday evening Vespers bells from the church. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.